Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and it's time once again for your weekly wrap-up. I finally caught my breath after a very busy month, and I thought I would talk about the focus we should have on this channel for 2023. Things are changing out there, and I wanted to get some feedback and give you some of my perspective on things as well. So let's get to it. So let's kick things off and see where things are at in 2023. What is very unusual about my channel is that if I look at my top 10 videos of a given month, most of them are videos that I did not produce in that month, but rather much earlier. However, so far this year, my top videos are all videos that I produced in the month of January, which is very encouraging because December was not a good month for the channel in a whole host of areas, but January seems to be off at a good clip here. I'm going to talk more about that Unihertz Atom phone in a minute, but we of course went out to CES and got a good response from all of you from that. We have a couple of topical videos on the Wise subscription changes and Amazon's deep linking changes on their TV platforms. And these are things that I just had a hunch that some of you might want to learn more about, so we dug in, and apparently that is something the algorithm and you find useful, so we're going to keep playing around with that, and I'll talk more about all of this in a minute. Now, there are market forces that come into play as a creator when you're trying to figure out how to earn a living doing this full time. And you can't just stay static, and you have to keep an eye on all the different components that impact and influence how the content business works in the 21st century. So, of course, a big one is the market forces that YouTube is dealing with. And I know a lot of you are not crazy about YouTube Shorts, but they feel as though this is important to maintain their relevance in the marketplace and perhaps maintain their revenue and competitive position. So we have to factor what YouTube wants us to do and also how they are reacting in the market. We have to look at, as a tech channel, what consumers need and what the tech marketplace is looking like, because that is not static. Some years, some things sell more than others, and you have to be able to provide content into those spaces based on what consumers are out there looking for, especially if you're a search-driven channel like me. I also have to factor in what you are interested in, and like all the other components on this Venn diagram, what you're looking for is going to change over time and has changed over time. And what's of most interesting to me is that the audience demographic that I have now is pretty much the same demographic I had when I started 10 years ago, just with more people. So I start with the millennials, and then it goes up from there with a very even split amongst the generations. But I haven't been picking up younger viewers ever. And so what we're doing here is going through life together, and your needs are going to change as you get older. I'm sure many of us have different needs now than we needed 10 years ago. So we're going to kind of age together here. And as we age, I think what we're looking for out of our technology is going to change. Now, the last factor on here is me, which is that I am not an expert in a lot of areas, including tech areas, and I certainly don't know anything about sports or makeup or anything else. So I'm not going to be able to provide you anything beyond what I currently am capable of. Maybe I can learn a few new things, but for the most part, I'm going to be in this area of content. And if I ever step out of it, it's not going to be very successful. And I have to think about, within the areas of expertise that I have, what value can I add to the marketplace so that these other components of the Venn diagram are satisfied. And that's the real challenge here, because I could spend my time doing things that I really like to do, but that's not necessarily going to get eyeballs and audience, and I need eyeballs and audience to keep doing this job. So those are the factors that I have to think about when I'm doing this stuff to provide content to all of you. So let's dive into this diagram a bit and see how all of these factors will impact what I decide to do here on the channel. So let's begin with the status of the consumer electronics industry. And if you're a channel that covers smartphones, you might be seeing a decline in viewership because sales are down significantly. Ars Technica says they're so bad it was a disaster for the industry, with the largest ever sales drop since the industry began. They say sales are off 11% for the year and plummeted 18% in the last quarter. And this is not just one manufacturer, this is all of them. Apple did a little better than the others did, but for the most part here, the industry is not where it was a year ago. And what does that mean for a consumer-focused YouTube channel? It means there's less people looking for a phone. And although I love to review smartphones from time to time, this may not be a good place for me to focus my energy right now because sales of phones are down, right? Let's take a look at PC sales. Equally in trouble here. PC shipments, according to CNET, declined 28% in that same quarter. And as a creator who focuses on consumers, this data plays out in my analytics too. So have a look at my top 10 videos of 2020. Everybody needed a computer in 2020, and I like to review low-cost computers. And so I did pretty well that year. As you can see, my #1 video for 2020 was an Asus VivoBook 15, a pretty affordable laptop that performed quite well and was available in many different retail channels. Almost 400,000 views on that one just in that year. #5 was a computer. We had on #3 Apple Pencil alternatives because people were buying up iPads as well. The only reason why iPad reviews didn't show up here is that there are so many people reviewing iPads, it's hard for me to compete against that many other creators. But in these cheap laptop areas here, I do pretty well. And as you can see here, #7, 8, 9, and 10 were all PC related because consumers were out looking for a low-cost computer. And that Chromebook video there was something that I had made a year or two before that suddenly started popping because people saw Chromebooks as being affordable and wanted to know what they could do with them. So very much a PC-oriented year here on the channel in 2020. 2021, pretty similar because we were coming out of this lockdown period. People were starting to get back to work, but still, top of the list is that Asus VivoBook, followed by a printer. The Amazon Fire Stick did pretty well that year, but then the HP Chromebook right there, the 14A, came in at #5. A printer that I reviewed way back in 2017, which was still available, this little DeskJet 3755, that one popped back up on the top 10 list. And then, of course, the video that we did with my brother hooking up his Starlink. Again, broadband, really important during the pandemic, so that one did pretty well also. But if we move into 2022, you can see things look very different. So for the most part, cord cutting, TV boxes, all were things that were more top of mind for consumers versus computers. In fact, the only computer-related video on my top 10 here was the Asus L210 there at the bottom, which was a very inexpensive 11-inch Windows PC. And I think that one kind of piqued the interest of enthusiasts because it had a few expandability options these computers typically don't have. But beyond that, the year looked very, very different, as you can see here. Now, #4 was Chrome OS Flex, which is a way that you can get Chrome OS running on an old computer. But for the most part, there wasn't a lot of folks looking to buy new computers, at least in the areas that I cover in 2022. Yet we reviewed a lot of PCs here on the channel. Now, the next factor to consider is how YouTube is doing as a business, because ultimately, if YouTube is not successful, none of us creators are going to be successful either. They do call us partners, but they don't really treat us like partners, so that's a whole nother video. However, ultimately, you've got to look at what they're communicating out, what they have to deal with in the marketplace, especially with competing platforms like TikTok. And ultimately, you got to get the hint from them as to what they want you to do in order for you to be successful. And clearly, YouTube's focus for this year is building up shorts. And you may not like it, but that is what they're focusing in on. And you may as well put some stuff there because if you don't, you might get left behind. And so I got this email from them the other day, kind of giving you your marching orders for the year. And the very first thing you see is a button that says share your short. And then if you go further down on the email, they tell you right out of the gate, they want you to grow on shorts. They want as much short content as possible because clearly TikTok is drawing attention away from YouTube and they need to get those viewers back. And I've seen a reduction in my traffic over the last 2 years. I've talked to a lot of other creators who've seen the same thing. YouTube is not in trouble, but their market share is changing and they are trying to bring more of that share back. And so they want shorts to do it. They're going to start paying us to make shorts. So there you go. You're going to see some shorts. I'll talk more about that in a minute. They're also suggesting that creators get smarter about finding new content strategies. And one of the things that I hope YouTube does better with is when a creator starts branching off into different topic areas within their vertical, that they can experiment a little bit more in trying to find subscriber audience for it. Because I've produced content that I know you all might like, but YouTube doesn't put it up in front of you if the sample that they initially present that content to doesn't initially respond favorably to it. So hopefully they work on getting some help out there to all of us so we can branch out a bit beyond a static topic. They also want you to do things like build your community, how to earn more money on YouTube, leveling up with gaming, and going live, which is the last item on the list. So YouTube certainly is going to be focused in an area that might be different than what I do and what other creators typically do, but we have to adjust because that's where their business focus is right now. And clearly, I think if you look at what the revenue looked like for creators in the last quarter of 2022, it was nowhere near where it has been in prior years. So I think YouTube is not necessarily, again, struggling, but I think they've seen a reduction in ad dollars coming in for a whole host of reasons. But again, they've got a business to run here, and we have to be able to operate within that scope of their business. And the last thing, of course, is you and me. And as I was mentioning before, like there's things that I like to do that don't always do very well. So a great example is my most recent video about retro BBSing. I know this is a super niche topic, but what happens here is that YouTube doesn't like to take chances with content when you go a little off track. And the worst part for me is that the people that do watch it always leave the best comments, like this one from Corey Engel about the fact that retro stuff is what he subscribed for. He wants to see more of this, please. The problem, though, is that when I do a video like this, it's usually like 10 of 10 on my last 10 videos that were uploaded insofar as viewership is concerned. And again, when YouTube doesn't see the video taking off right away, it just stops showing it to people. And it's so frustrating because I know there's more of you out there than saw this video. So definitely go to the playlist in the video description to see that one. As you can see here, this one is running well below what my typical viewership is. And so on this chart here, this gray area is what typical is, and this is how this video is performing. And again, it's only going to be seen by who YouTube puts this in front of, and because they didn't see a good response to it, they just don't try, because they don't want to risk losing people to TikTok. Here's another one. This, as you know, is a real passion of mine, the space program. And these videos cost me a fortune in travel costs, and I never do very well with this, but I like going to NASA launches. I think it's inspiring. It helps me kind of get motivated to keep doing this. So for me, this is almost like a vacation, even though I'm working. And I get great comments, like when I got here from Logi KGR about how much he enjoyed this video. But again, if you look at how this one performed versus the typical, because it didn't hit right away, they just don't show it to people. So here you can see this was another 10 of 10 video, despite the amount of effort that went into it. And then you've got stuff like this, which I don't get. So the Unihertz Atom XL phone that I reviewed the other day, really neat, different kind of phone, a weird phone, if you will, super rugged, small, and it has a built-in walkie-talkie, essentially a ham radio built into it. And when I've reviewed these phones in the past, they get okay viewership, but not great. And I don't get a lot of interest in the ham radio stuff because it's a very niche topic, which I get. But somehow mixing a phone and ham radio together suddenly results in success. So initially, the phone review didn't do very well. And then YouTube starts experimenting, and then you hit the lottery, and suddenly it just goes off like a rocket. And this video is still collecting views. I think it's probably close to 100,000 at this point. And I don't get it. I don't know if it's just random or what, but there's nothing in this video that's all that different from some of the other stuff that I do. And I know there's not that much interest out there for amateur radio, unfortunately. I'm trying to build up more interest in it, but still. Nevertheless, this video is just taken off, and it's still going. So I just don't understand whether or not there's any logic behind this, or if it's just totally random that every once in a while the right video gets in front of the right viewer, and the algorithm just kind of domino affects the viewership over time or something. But there you go. It's an uphill snowball. So hopefully over the course of this year, I can figure out exactly what it was that made that video take off. I actually think it's just random luck. And I often say to people, YouTube is often like playing the lottery. You buy your ticket, upload a video, and see what happens. And every once in a while, you get a hit. And I think that's what happened there. So what's in store for this year? Well, I'm going to focus on topics a little more than I have in the past. The reason why is that I saw some very good results from 4 topical videos that I posted up recently. And I think that Wise RTSP with Docker video is going to do very well in search over time as well. So we're going to be doing more of this analysis kind of stuff. And in addition to seeing good analytics, I'm seeing some good anecdotal evidence from comments that I'm receiving, like this one from Eric, who said that he found these videos very useful. So when I see things like this and then I see analytics to back them up, it means that clearly this is where the audience is going and I need to be there. So I would love to get more suggestions from you about these sorts of topics you'd like to see down in the comment section, so I've got some ideas for where I go next, because more often than not, a topical video comes from a viewer sending it in to me. And if I don't always respond, it doesn't mean that I didn't see it, so just keep sending them in, and as time goes on here, I will try to accommodate those requests. But that said, the reviews are still going to happen, and the reason is that reviews do well on YouTube over time for the most part. And Amazon's still a big deal for me. In fact, from a revenue perspective, Amazon and YouTube are pretty much on the same level at this point for me. In some months, actually, Amazon does better than YouTube. So Amazon likes reviews. The topical stuff doesn't do as well there. So I'm going to be serving both masters here, both of my partners. And you'll continue to see review videos, but I am going to try to do a little bit more on the topics because, again, those are starting to do better on YouTube these days. We're going to keep doing the live streams. We do those on Amazon and YouTube simultaneously. I am maybe thinking about doing like Twitch, maybe Twitter too, and a few other platforms, just because I have a lot of bandwidth and I can send video all over the place. So maybe we'll start experimenting with a few more places to drop live streams off at. And some of you are going to roll your eyes at this. I already see some of the comments coming in, but shorts are important to YouTube, and therefore they're going to be important to me. And I'm going to try to do shorts in a way that is not repeating what I do in the long form stuff. And I'll give you some examples of some shorts that I did recently. So for example, I was playing around with my ham radio over the weekend, and I just did a quick short on what I was doing. And what's fun about shorts for me is that typically I have all this planning that goes into these videos that I make. And what's fun is that every once in a while there's a thing that I'm doing that doesn't require a 30-minute video. I can do it in a minute. And so, for example, like this thing we did on ham radio FT8 signals was able to be done in a minute. And I thought it was pretty cool. And some of you did too. So we're going to experiment with this stuff. And the shorts will be there. And I'm sure at some point YouTube is going to look at ways of making sure the shorts don't show up in feeds that you don't like to see them in. But at the same time, I'm going to try to differentiate the content enough so that they're not repeating things that you're seeing in longer form elsewhere on the channel. And I'd love to hear what you think of my shorts so far. I'm an old guy now, so this is a new thing for me. I've never, ever in my life made short videos, so I'd love to get some feedback from you as to what you think of what I'm doing so far with them. And there's also a good opportunity for unboxings too that might be a nice complement to the extras channel, so stay tuned for that. By the way, Amazon is also experimenting with a short format called Inspire. So clearly short content here is important to the industry and something must be working with it. Otherwise, all of these companies wouldn't be investing all of this money and effort into making their platforms more accommodating for short content. So we'll be doing some of it, but again, I hope to do it in a way that is appropriate and true to the brand here. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. Now, it's been a while since we've done a weekly wrap-up video, and as such, we've got a bunch of people to thank for their support. I want to start with gold level contributors Matt Zagaya, Budley, and Logic KGR, who all made gold level super chat contributions to the channel. We also have Yum Yum Raisin, Grayson Petty, Keith Robinson, Jose Morales, Knife Fight Elmo, Keith Weston, Billy Laptop, and Arthur Rosario. And we also picked up some new members here on the channel. And through the YouTube membership program, we have RT365 joining us, along with Carrie Cuck and Diane Allison. And on Floatplane, we have Verhags and Ryan V. Harris. And I want to thank everyone who's contributed to the channel this time, and also everyone who's been contributing on an ongoing basis. and all of you who watch on a regular basis too, because all of those things equal channel growth, and I greatly appreciate so many of you who've supported the channel over the years, and I'll be coming up with some new ways, I think, to acknowledge this in the future because we aren't doing as many wrap-up videos lately. If you want to support the channel, you can. You can go to Lon.TV/support and make a monthly or a one-time contribution via my donor box page. We also support the YouTube membership program, Floatplane, and Patreon. We have a bunch of other channels you can find me on that are listed on screen here. And of course, you can sign up for my weekly email list at Lon.TV/email or my daily list at Lon.TV/digest. And both emails will give you everything I upload to the YouTube channel so you don't miss anything. But we have other ways to follow me as well on my Facebook group, the Discord, and the Telegram. And we are doing these item sale events on Whatnot, which is a live streaming auction platform. And we're going to be doing a couple of sales in the next couple of weeks. I'm finally getting some time on the weekends where I can focus on that. So I'm going to be collecting another batch of items. Some of these are things that I bought and I'll be reselling through an auction format. Other items are things that I got in from the manufacturer that we're going to give away for the cost of shipping. And if you're not a member of Whatnot, it's a lot of fun actually. You can sign up at Lon.TV/Whatnot. That's an affiliate link. When you sign up, I think they give you like 15 or 25 bucks to spend on the platform so you can get a feel for how it all works. And then if you sign up for my store alert email at Lon.TV/store alert, I will let you know when the next sale event is going to be. In addition to the item sales, I've got a bunch of old video games I'm going to be getting rid of in their retro video game section there. So sign up for the list and I will let you know when we're going to have one of these events. And it's possible to pre-bid on items. So if you can't make it, you can put your best bid in. And if you are the high bidder, you'll get it even if you don't show up to the auction live stream. And then you can find me on Whatnot at Lon.TV/Lon1 if you want to follow me there. And that is going to do it for this week's weekly wrap-up. I really am looking forward to your ideas down in the comments below for topics to cover and, of course, products to review. That's going to do it for now. Until next time, this is Lon Seidman. Thanks for watching.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold level supporters Brian Parker, Chris Allegretta, Hot Sauce and Video Games, Logic KGR, Tom Albrecht, and Amda Brown. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to Lon.TV/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit Lon.TV/s.